So, last session was certainly pretty eventful, and we left, like I like to do, on a bit of a cliffhanger, with a bit of uncertainty. Always an untold story. But yeah, so Evelyn, we talked about you were interested in writing up a little bit of our recap. If you're interested in that, if you're ready to go with that, you can go ahead. If you're not, we can do next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, I have... The beginning of our last session had our attentions drawn to a mystical pillar surrounded by massive azure flowers. It was quickly discovered by the party that these flowers, when engaged with, will cause one to quickly fall asleep. Despite proper warning from Zim, the party's magi, Saida was first taken down to Dreamtown as she was being heavily drawn to the power emanating from the pillar. Upon awakening, she was guided to pray at its base, revealing its powers it contains. A magical barrier, summoned wood golems, or great healing can be provided if it is activated. However, it may seem to have no effect on those with darkened hearts. Meanwhile, our undead foot soldiers kept the working perimeter secure, while other members of the party rested and plotted the troops' next course of action. For several members, in particular Thrumnir, circumstances are looking quite grim. The never-ending rains persist, and Kennit hears a fast-approaching pack of Lear. Activating the power of the pillar, Saida casts a protective shield.
Nice. Very nice.
That was very nice.
Does anybody have anything? Yeah, perfect. That's fantastic. That's most of our bases. Does anybody have anything to add? Anything they felt left out, or of particular importance or excitement to you all?
I discovered that the pillar was completely climb-proof.
It does seem resistant to Kennit's ascent, for sure. Hopefully not all things will resist your techniques. Not all have so far. Definitely the tree thwarted you most so far. Interesting the difficulties that pop up here on land. Well, how about you, Zim? Brian? Either of you have anything to add?
Nope. Nothing for me.
Okay. Awesome. So, my name's Saida, summons the shimmering gold sort of orb around you, raining down that same glittering gold energy. The rain begins sliding over the dome itself, no longer pooling up at your feet or pattering on your head, shoulders, ringing on your armor and weapons. The smells and sounds of the jungle are somewhat muted, as if you're hearing it all through a layer of water. Peeking over the far hill where you had just seen the Wise One and two Lear warriors, sort of cresting, watching you. You can see this sort of, just from the distance, from about here up, two of the warriors and then the Wise One. And they watch you for a time, their eyes rolling over the dome itself, particularly the Wise One, who stares fixedly at the dome, at the pillar, and he's looking at individuals inside it. In particular, he's looking at Zim, Saida, the swooning Magi, or Zume, while the two warriors are sort of scanning the hill, looking for any other soldiers of yours, perhaps, any traps that you've left. They are not moving from their spot at the moment. Seconds stretch into minutes as you watch. How do you all proceed? Let's go ahead and highlight our tokens and get an exploration roleplay initiative going. Which we'll definitely switch initiative. We'll re-roll whenever a combat comes up.
Oh.
Do we have to?
Right?
I rolled a 1. No,
Saida,
yeah.
Saida will certainly be happy if we do. All right. Double checking that that's showing up. Oh. Lost my toolbar control. I just want to check in on how that... Cool. Die rolls are coming in. Good. So many screens to juggle. I need more screens, y'all. Thinking of getting just a large screen TV and putting it right up above. Lots more screen real estate. Anyway.
Not a bad idea.
Top of the order. Crenshaw, as you sit huddled in this dome with soldiers Most of them sort of doing their job, looking out into the rains. But you do catch eyes looking, sort of flickering to you, just gauging how you're responding to all this.
Crenshaw is kind of standing at the space where the flowers are weakest. He wants to be right at the pinpoint of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got something for this
Oh, yeah.
so that we could be ready for battle.
Yes.
Helmet here and my armor.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a good fit. Is
Now
that
I'm ready.
custom?
nope, it's a child's costume because it was much cheaper than an adult costume, so it doesn't really fit. But no, Crenshaw
Solid.
is ready for battle.
Thank you for
Armor that
Respect
shrinks
right
in the
there.
rain.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
Awesome. So some of the soldiers.
Nice.
Crenshaw's ready.
Crenshaw cutting
Taking
a
up a
brave form.
defensive position. Yeah,
Nice.
that was worth every cent of that $20 for this.
Yes. Definitely some of the eyes looking over at you are clearly like, they'll look over at you, they'll kind of nod to themselves, or look down, look away, take a deep breath. They seem to be steadying themselves on your stoic form. Having a good image in that armor, looking directly at the enemy. Heck yeah. So we would assume that you've got some sort of combat action ready, I would think.
Definitely gonna take like a defensive dodge action. Maybe he's gonna tell everyone to ready a crossbow bolt, but he's gonna hold his long sword and shield, and his focus is maintaining the gap between the flowers. So he's not gonna mess with a crossbow right at this moment.
Okay. You can go ahead and make a persuasion check, or if you want to use intimidation to try to get the soldiers to follow that order. You will be at advantage for this because clearly several of the soldiers are looking at you and watching you.
13.
13, not bad. You hear a few mutters of, "You heard Crenshaw. Listen to the old man." And the ones, sort of flicking their eyes to you, up to the dome, have stopped doing that and are now just looking in the same direction you are. Except where they've been told to look at your, take rear guard or look at your flanks and whatever. All right. Kennit, how are you responding to this? The rain sliding over an invisible dome, soldiers huddled in, the leer peering just over the tops of the underbrush, over the top of the hill, watching.
All right, so I'm going to go over the battle plan in my head. So we had orders. Orders were to come basically here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Orders are to hold the hill, take the hill, investigate the hill, and then return.
Yeah, orders are to study the source of the magical emanations, find it, find out what it is, and report back.
Okay, the end report back part. So basically, we just have to take some time. So, I mean, for what it's worth, as the commander now, I'm going to recommend to Zim and the other Magi that we continue to study and learn all we can. And if they start battle, we'll start, but otherwise, we'll continue our studies. And then the other thing, like, is there a check that I could make or some kind of, like, idea that I might have if there's any way to make peace with the Lear?
You know very, very little. Everything that you've been told is, by and large, the rhetoric seems to be, and at least the working story of the effort is that everything everything on land, aside from the beasts, are demons that need to be cleansed from the land. The effort, as far as you know, has no other knowledge or intelligence about them. The first sorties were pretty short and bloody. And so this is really the first contact of this sort that you've heard about, just being able to actually just observe the Lear. It's usually either they're seen from a distance moving through the jungle, or they are coming out of nowhere and smashing into your company, decimating it, and escaping when they've had their fun, so it seems.
Okay, so we retrieved some swords and a couple, like, packets of herbs and leaves and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would making an offering of that stuff in any way help, or?
It's certainly something you could try if Kennit was willing. It is an interesting interaction, like especially seeing the wise one there, not make any hostile movement, pause and observe you without any obvious battle fury in their eyes, is interesting, and it would certainly, I could certainly see it sort of prompting questions like this. So it may not, wouldn't be considered unreasonable to that might be an option. And at least attempting that would tell you something.
All right, I'll gather up some of the swords that we took and those leaf-wrapped things, and I'll just kind of push them outside of the dome as an offering. I'll throw up some kind of peace sign and say, hey, whatever, come get these weapons. I don't know. I know sign language, so my other language is sign language. So I'll use sign language to say what I'm trying to say, and I have no idea if they'll understand any of it. But I'll basically say you can come get the stuff from your dead guys, and we won't hurt you. And then I'll relay that to the team that if they come up peacefully, not to shoot them.
Okay. You can go ahead. You can make a persuasion or survival check to see how well you can communicate with them, just through simple rudimentary gestures. But as you go to push a bundle through the dome, you hit that impenetrable barrier. And it seems that the dome will have to be lifted or altered somehow. You're not a magician, but you can't currently push it through the shimmering gold barrier. However, that 24 survival check... Say again?
I was under the impression that we could put things out, like arrows and whatnot, but things just couldn't come in.
Yeah, this isn't it's not like the tiny hut effect. It seems to be a very solid, something like a wall of force.
Can we see through it?
Okay. Hold on just a second. So with that 24, you managed to make some very basic gestures, that most sentient creatures you've met will understand. And one of the Lear warriors sort of just reaches his hand over the wise one as if to push him back down the hill. You can hear the wise one make some sort of barking growl at the other, and the other soldier, the other warrior with the Lear as well, sort of growls at the other. There's a brief interaction between the soldier and the Lear wise one, as they look upon the bundle and look up at you. You can see that they understand. But they can also, you see that you understand, and the wise one just gestures to the air above you as if pointing at the dome itself. One of the Lear warrior who seemed to be distrustful and wanting to push the wise one back down the hill. You can see that it has a bow and arrow knocked, and was in the process of drawing it until the other two growled at him, as if he was going to fire at you all, maybe testing your defenses. Who knows? But he's currently not doing that, and they seem to be watching you and waiting.
Okay.
Next in the order is Saida. You with us, Saida? Evelyn, you with us?
Sorry, I can't hear anything. Almost.
From any of
I'm
us?
getting yelled at by noises. Just a moment.
Noises.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
that's okay. Technical difficulties happen.
Okay, now I can hear.
Okay, that's better. Good.
My apologies.
It's not your fault. It happens. All right. So, well, actually, briefly before Saida, yeah, Saida, you can. Well, no, okay. You all can both see Kennit attempt to sort of push something through the barrier. You see what he's trying to do, and you can feel that the thing is rather solid, and you'd have to drop the barrier to let that pass through. You can still, since it's all happening at the same time, you can still react to each other's turns and such like that. So, Saida, how do you proceed as you're watching, observing, planning?
Well, having just casted this golden dome and observing its sort of properties, I'm feeling pretty confident that we're pretty safe in here, and Saida's not much interested in exploring things like double checking, crossing her T's, so to speak. So I think I would like her to continue. Well, I feel like she has everything she needs to know from the pillar already, and might be wondering as to why we're sticking around. Like, what more can we actually figure out here? But I suppose, wanting to satisfy her party and her command, she will see if she can note anything else. Maybe through past lore she knows. Would that be something I can do? Like a
Yeah, you can make a history check, Arcana.
yeah.
Really.
Okay.
What area are you, like, what kind of information are you trying to search up?
I feel like it's kind of like a religion, if these particular juxtaposition of runes and spells, perhaps more insight into their origin, we can learn more about what they're capable of doing, just if she can provide any more information, because she doesn't really know why we're still staying. So
Okay.
she's very forward.
Yeah.
So I think a religion would be the best.
You can certainly examine the pillar and make a religion check to see what you pick up from it.
Oh yeah, nat 20.
Wow, nat 20. Beautiful with that 22. All right. So, not exactly a scholar of the Elven language, but you did grow up with a very strong oral tradition. And so there's a dialect that you speak in your family that's pretty old, and it isn't sort of the modern Elsie language. In your minds, you feel that you have kept to what you call the old tongue. But here you think that you are seeing an even older version of that tongue. You recognize some of the runes, some of the glyphs. They're shaped a bit differently, a bit like less stylized and more pictographic, like that far back in the lingual history, more representative of certain words, objects, places, as opposed to ideas like later languages are. So you can see enough of it. You can read about one word in 7, enough to know that. So yeah, like you all picked up a little last session that 3 of these bands are sort of poem, and 4 of these circling bands that wrap the pillar are a prayer of some sort.
Okay.
There's a set of words that you keep seeing repeated over and over again. It's not a name or a sound you recognize, but as you sort of sound it out, the word Estrasha or Estrasha comes to mind. It's one of the other pronunciation. And so this seems to be a prayer to this figure or around. Maybe Estrasha may be the prayer itself. It may be like a ritual. It may be the name of what this place was. It may be a god or goddess or some other, but it's repeated very prominently. So as you read over the next 10 minutes, you manage to read through sort of the first band, and it's incomplete. The beginning of the phrase is incomplete, but it's Estrasha, waters and soothing whisper. There's some more blanks. Dissolve all barriers. Weave together this failing land. But the word failing is, you think, it could also be sacred. It's a very archaic word, even by like the standards of like old, ancient Elven. You know that, likely that the Magi have, they have sort of wax paper and grease pencils they can do rubbings with and things like that. So you might be able to take and transcribe some of them to take them back to the fortress city.
Yeah, as she's reading Zimmel, just kind of go along with the pencil. And now that we don't have rain, it's even easier, even though our paper's somewhat waterproof.
Still, yeah, it's easier to see what you're working with. There's not water beating all over the page.
No more rain.
So as you're reading over it, each time you hear, you make the sound in your mind, Estrasha, you feel like a pulse within the ground. Not necessarily within the hill itself, almost like it's deeper in the ground. But it certainly is reverberating through this pillar and out into the area. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. That's wonderful. I mean, nat 20 and all.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of course, I imagine I'm relaying this information to Zim as I'm coming to understand it. She's very much a think out loud kind of person.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So Zim, you're taking all this in.
Fascinating, but what's an Estrasha?
Estrasha.
I've never heard of it before.
Somehow sounds familiar.
Next in the order is Crenshaw.
Crenshaw is going to look over at Kennit and say, well, if you're going to go out there and give them this stuff back, you're not going without me. So, you want to go out there, I'll go there with you. Just don't know if we can get through this dome. If we take it down, we might not be able to come back up.
Well, says Thrumnir, you're the brave one. Kind of smirks at you.
What? You're telling me you're not coming too?
If ordered. If ordered. Oh, goodness. I think I puts the stream again. There we go. Keep that picture up on the front.
And then Crenshaw is going to take a look and see if, while, we're doing all these things, the Lear have changed their posture at all. I know they had, one of them was going to shoot, and the other two growled. They pointed to the dome and kind of made some gestures back. So anything he can discern from their posture or what he thinks their reaction to their approach might be. He's trying to size up the situation.
It's definitely causing somewhat of a stir. The wise one and the there's a discussion between the wise one and the two bodyguards, you think. It seems like the elder wins the discussion or silences the other detractor. And you see him sort of slowly creep back up the hill into full view, sort of leaning heavily on his staff. He, sort of emeraldine green light sort of glaring out from the staff, causing a sort of almost green static halo of the raindrops. His eyes, large in his pretty massive snouted skull, roll over the top of the dome, take in the landscape. The two warriors step out, very quickly getting ahead of him, as he obviously is not being patient with his warriors and defenders. So they're sort of rushing to get back in front of him. He strides up to about 10 feet from the tireless. If you have them set to attack, then they'll obviously engage. So
I don't think we have them
it would be on Zim.
ready actions unless you guys told us to. Unless Kennit or Crenshaw had said to.
Can Crenshaw see their reaction to the undead at all? Yeah, I think he'd kind of noticed it earlier. But.
They, let's see here. They seem what you might call tense, where normally they move with a very loose gait. Often their jaws will sort of work, drop open and close as they speak. Their eyes wild, range around. They will yip and bark in communication with each other. But as they get closer to these, they get deathly silent, very still, and they are clearly, very pointedly not looking at the dead. They're looking past them. The two guards are looking out for the jungle, out to the jungle, just looking for any traps or ambushes that you have laid. After a moment, they one of them gestures as if he found a clear path, and they both begin to move off to the left, sort of spiraling in, as if just trying to bypass the dead and get closer to you all, or at least get closer to the dome.
Are they all moving in that direction, off to the left?
Just the three of them. You could definitely hear the others moving and arranging themselves. They're very much in the bush, say, this can be seen on the map, about in this area. There sounds like maybe 6 or 8 Lear moving into that area, just to the top right above you.
Okay.
And you're sure they have a couple of scouts that you wouldn't be able to hear because they're born and raised in this area and on land, and they just know the jungle.
Crenshaw is gonna turn back to Kennit and say, if you want to talk to him, you might want to have the tireless move off to our right flank or so. They can still swoop in and protect us, but it would leave the clearing between the flowers pretty open for the I don't know, I guess they're an envoy. This one looks important at least.
Right next in the order, Zim. These seem to be slowly approaching, making no hurry. The two guarding soldiers definitely have their bows gripped tight, arrows knocked, but their arms aren't flexed, and the bows are sort of down at their side, ready to draw, but not currently threatening.
I don't think Zim's paying any attention to the Lear.
Fair enough.
Anymore. We've summoned a strange shield-like magical thing, and he's completely engaged with whatever the heck this thing is. Saida, you said that this would heal people? Like your hands did earlier?
I believe far more than my hands could.
How do we activate that?
I think it would be much like the last time. I prayed, thought of it, and it came.
I'm not really knowledgeable about that, but
Neither am I.
Do you think it'd work if I poured magical energy into it?
I think so.
We're in a strange dome. Let's try it. I'm gonna attempt to pour magical energy
Okay. What do you pour into
the
it?
pillar. So I'm thinking about healing, but I really don't have a whole lot of spell choices at this level. So let's go with a first level spell slot. Purify food and drink. Ritually cast over the next, I don't know, I think it's a 10-minute ritual.
Okay.
We'll be here a while. We got a dome. We're okay. Let me make
All right.
sure. It's either a 1 minute or a 10-minute. Let's kick it up there. So yeah, I'll pour in a first level spell slot for using Purify Food and Drink, the closest thing I have to healing of any kind, and see what happens.
Okay. You can make an Arcana, Religion, or Nature check.
Where do I feel the luckiest?
As you
Arcana
cast
or
magic
nature?
into it, you can feel several different conduits, different branching pathways of the different, to the different effects that are in the pillar.
Arcana 12.
As as I described, the gold, the dome itself is really just described by these motes of gold that are sort of raining down inside the dome. Each one of them gains a sort of aquamarine glimmer about them. And as the dust falls on those that are wounded, you can look around and see some of their wounds healing up visibly, like the wounds stitching themselves back together, clotting, scarring, clotting, scabbing, and the scab sort of falling off like dust, as if you saw weeks of healing in mere moments. That is a D8 plus 2 to everybody in the area. Anybody who's wounded could go ahead and roll that D8 plus 2. I'm also happy to roll it as well. I like to, at my tables, especially these kind of games, which are pretty hardcore, I like to re-roll ones for healing. So anytime or any hit point gain. So if you gain a level, you roll a 1, you can re-roll it. If you drink a healing potion, you roll a 1, you can re-roll it. So looks like Crenshaw rolled a 1 there.
Yep. And followed it up.
I see it. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I knew that rule, but I figured you would.
Awesome. Well, I don't use it at every table, so I thought I'd share it. And plus, our viewers don't know that, so. All right, let me take a look at the soldiers.
Does that heal Saida's voice?
It does not. Your throat doesn't hurt as bad. But it did not heal the effect.
That's okay. That's okay. Makes her cooler.
You got it back. I was kind of hoping it would relieve the effect off the other magi and our actual leader, Soren more, but I don't know. It was a hope, a dream, a delusion.
Oh yeah, did the Magi and Commander Brom gain any healing, or how are they looking?
I'll give you just a moment. All right, I rolled an 8, so it's 10 for one of your companions, one of the soldiers. A lot of them in pretty good shape, but he's in much better shape, although he's still poisoned. This seems pretty long lasting. He's not too much use. He can give orders. He knows things, but in terms of really being able to take part in the combat, like I said, he's poisoned, so he's rolling with a disadvantage for most of his stuff. Still, he's got a crossbow.
Well, that seems to be effective, I think. I don't know. Saida, do you feel better?
I definitely feel my strength return and at ease, yes.
I'm glad that did something. I was a little worried.
Crenshaw just chuckles at Kennit. Looks like you're still in charge, though. Not getting out of it that easy.
You hear the booming voice of heavyset Bost. It itches like fire. As he's scratching one of his wounds that's healing rapidly. You see a couple of other soldiers sort of reaching down to their wounds, sort of scratching them, pulling the bandages down and seeing, they may have seen some of it before, but it's still a miracle to these people.
You'd rather be burning than be eaten by the plant shambler things.
You hear Ares say, yeah, you hear that? Listen to the the Magi. Listen to the Magi.
Boss, I thought you'd be used to that burning, scratching sensation now.
That's the last time I stay in your family's ship. It's full of fleas. Every bed in the place. No wonder you're so damn tough, Crenshaw. Next in the order is Kennit. This healing rain seems to come down upon the troops now under your charge. The Lear scouting around, beginning to just walk, trying to move down, to walk around the area a bit. How do you proceed? It seems that they are content, they feel safe, and that they're going to explore and observe, and they don't seem in any hurry to leave.
Apparently has,
All right, so
confidence we are.
I'm just going to ask the group. You said the commander was conscious enough to participate in a conversation now?
He
After
is,
me?
but protocol still dictates that you take command because he's compromised.
Sure, but if so I'm going to ask him what he thinks. Should we continue to basically what I want to know, and you know what? I'm going to just talk to Crenshaw. Screw the commander.
All
I'm
right.
just going to go over to Crenshaw and say, okay, it looks like we made some headway. We can use this in one of two ways. We can either betray them and use it to get the drop on them and get some good attacks off, or we can be honorable and try to make some kind of peaceful negotiation. What do you think?
Well, I've always believed that, what goes around comes around, and if you give it bad on one side of a hurricane, once you pass through the eye, it's going to be twice as bad on the other side. So I'd say we stick to the honorable route, but it's going to ultimately be your call. We're going to follow you either way. They seem to want to talk, but I don't think we should let our guard down by any means. Keep a nice stiff shield between you and them if we're doing any talking. If they even can talk.
All right, so in the background at this time, Zim's casting his spell, whatever else is going on, I feel like I got plenty of time to talk to the troops. So I'm going to relay that plan to him, and I'm going to say I would like to raise the barrier and have the opportunity to pick a few brave souls out there and see if we can talk to them, see if they can be negotiated with.
Awesome. So hearing all of this, the whole party, how do you all react to this? Saida, how do you feel about that? Any reactions from Saida?
Come with you.
Not surprising. Yes. How about Zim? Any reactions from Zim?
Oh, what? Oh, you're gonna go talk to the people that we all just slaughtered. That's very brave of you. I'll stay with the pillar.
Well, you know how to use it, so.
Indeed, the instant they start attacking, you said it summons defenders. So I'll do that. I'll figure it.
Okay, so we've got a plan B. All right, when you're done with your stuff, then raise the barrier and I'll go out.
I'm coming with you, and I say we take Hadreen. We need someone to control those tireless dead.
Oh, one moment. Do you want me to cast this on you?
What? I don't, cast what on me? What's it gonna do to me?
I'm not entirely certain.
I'll take it.
All right. I'll put the spell of unknown magic at Kennit.
Thrumnir and Hadreen both look up at Kennit. Thrumnir's eyebrows are beetled down, like, what are you talking about? Hadreen's eyes are, like, up, like, considering Kennit now. Like, maybe he's not so bad after all.
Hopefully this is a good spell.
I'm going to trust that you wouldn't offer me a bad spell. So
I have no idea what it is.
Awful lot of trust here.
All right, Saida, any way that you prepare, as it seems like your company is shifting tactics and preparing to open the defenses?
I don't want to come in all aggressive. Like, that might not seem very peaceful. So, let me see here.
My new hawk friend will go with you as well. I actually do not know what spell is in that wand. So if you want to inform me or just have it be a mystery as I cast it.
You know that it is some sort of defensive spell. Probably not on the order of the dome protecting you, but something similar.
I think it's for the defense of a person, and then I'll cast it on Kennit.
Excellent. Kennit, you now have the spell Sanctuary on your person. Let me go ahead and link that in chat for you.
Fireball.
Guiding bolts,
That's
the
a
10th level.
Make a dexterity save at disadvantage.
You shouldn't joke about dexterity saves.
Hey, listen. I'm still alive.
I went ahead and drop the description in chat, but I'll go ahead and just read it briefly. Essentially, it raises a barrier around you. Yeah. You're warded against attack. Until the spell ends, any creature who targets you must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, you can choose a new target. They must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. It doesn't protect you from area effects like fireball. But other than that, you can't be... they must make that save. If they fail it, then they have to retarget or lose it. And it is, again, you have these shimmering, very pale golden motes, something between like white gold and almost silvery, that are sort of shimmering and floating around you. Perfect orb, centered around in your solar plexus.
Wonderful. That's the same stuff that's around me now. I think it helps.
Next in the order is Crenshaw.
Do anything.
Let's say that again. I missed the first part of what you said.
I didn't do anything.
Okay, well then that's... Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Saida, how do you proceed or prepare yourself as your company begins to open the defenses?
I was just wondering if I could divine sense, like if that would even be worth my effort, just, as extra precaution.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Aside from that faint celestial presence around the pillar and the top of this hill, you sense, perhaps on the southern side of the hill, a very simple fey presence. It's outside of the, real range of your detection, but this hill seems to augment, I don't know, whether it's your sensing abilities or may just augment magic in general, but you feel like you can feel most of what's on the hill itself when you when you use your Divine Sense. You don't get the sense that the presence is like aggressive or violent. Again, they seem very simple, a low order sort of fae, you know, likely on the level of like insects or beasts, but fae and not beasts, but very simple creatures. As Zim begins to, prepares to, or actually, yeah, you have control. You can drop the dome. Looks like Zim can also manipulate the pillar as well. Currently, Saida is keyed into it and already has some direct control. It seems that the channel divinity, or at least your divine energy that you're channeling, seems to function much better on the pillar to activate it and control it. So, how does Saida proceed?
Other than
open the dome now, or are you waiting for some triggering event?
I mean, if that's what we agreed to, she's all for it. So yeah, I think, taking it down now and just kind of having my sword ready, just in case. Like, I don't want to show that I'm, thinking about it, but I'm thinking about it.
Absolutely. So as you all prepare to open the dome, you spread the word over the soldiers that sense of wonder and that brief air of relaxation that you all were experiencing as the company's protected in this magical dome is suddenly dispelled as soldiers sort of get back up from a crouch, reload their weapons, switch their gear out for crossbows, and ready their weapons without aiming at the enemy. The dome vanishes. Those gold motes, they don't vanish from the air, but they begin to fall less and less over a few seconds, and as the last few golden motes drift down toward the stones, the protection vanishes. One of the Lear, his arm, the one on the left from where or the right from where you're standing, sort of tenses its bow arm as if to shoot. The wise one reaches over and grabs his arm and, without looking, barks a word. They stop moving. Let's see, they had made it over to about here, at the edge of the wood. Still, a safe distance from your dead, not looking at them. Looking at Saida, looking at Zim, looking at Crenshaw, looking at Kennit. Thrumnir, Hadreen, some of the other sort of more swarthy looking fighters. The other warrior, you can see his eyes flicker to the wise one as if wanting to question the wise one's decision. But the wise one continues to watch as the dome opens. So going quickly down the order, not even quickly. So as that opens, Saida, you can still choose to move, or you can wait. You can sort of hang back if you want to be the first out. You can definitely do that.
I'm going to hang back this time a little bit,
All right.
but I'm definitely going to follow when Kennit moves forward.
All right. So next in the order is Crenshaw.
All right. Crenshaw is going to kind of bark at Zim a little bit and just say, "Move those tireless to the right flank a little. Move them east. Protect our rear. Hadreen, form up with me. Defensive wall. Protect the commander." So he's trying to get the tireless dead to move just slightly over to their flank here, and then he's gonna form up like a little, him and Hadreen as a defensive barrier, so that the just have some shields in front. Not an aggressive posture, just a defensive one.
Okay, sure. Zim, you can go ahead and move those now. You all can move your tokens as you like, even if it's not currently your turn. This is all exploration, so you can shift your tokens outward if you like. Hadreen moves up. You want her up front, right?
Yeah, with me. Just kind of off to the flank here or something. Give us a little bit. That way, Kennit can have some flanking guards.
Okay.
And yeah, he's gonna take up a defensive posture and ready in action. He's gonna ready his long sword, or I guess the appropriate would be he's gonna take the dodge action. I guess trying to think of like what the defensive readied action would be. Basically, he's going to try and block any attack that gets swung at either him or Kennit.
Okay.
He's going to try and jump in front of it if that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a get down, Mr. President kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
So
he
potentially
wants
you're readying the hinder action to hinder anyone that attacks him. Say.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
And he's gonna tell Zim like, tell those tireless if they get fired upon to attack, but make no aggressive moves other than that. And he doesn't even know if Zim hears him. Okay, good. He did hear him. He breathed an inward sigh of relief. He was worried Zim was too preoccupied with the pillar. But he's like, I just gotta focus on these in front of me right now.
Perfect. So yeah, you all step up. They seem to sort of rearrange themselves. The two warriors gesture for the wise one to take a step back, who seems reluctant but listens to his warriors. As you approach, let's see here. So as you approach, did you bring that bundle with you, Kennit?
Yep, that was the idea. I'm gonna give them back their stuff.
Okay. Zim, is there anything that you do? What do you do on your turn? How do you proceed as Saida opens the dome? Soldiers begin to move out. Lear rearrange themselves. It's like a parlay of some sort of face-off is beginning. Ooh.
Something happened.
Lost the camera again. So yeah, Zim, what do you do on your turn?
So Zim's gonna continue. I think now I'm just gonna kind of sense. And I initially sensed the kind of arcane, the energy of this pillar. It was like a reservoir of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Sensing it now, does it feel different that we've
Yes.
extracted probably a decent chunk of magic out of it?
It does. It feels that like you've depleted about 2/3 of the reservoir. You think there's enough to do one more protection, one more healing, or that summon.
Okay.
But you think it fills up pretty fast. You think by tomorrow at the same time, there'll be like 1/3 of it back in the reservoir.
All right. And what I'm going to do is inform the tireless. If you're attacked, attack back through my little control amulet. And I send the hawk to just circle around this area here. Put them there for now. They're just going to keep circling. And I'm going to start uncovering just a little bit of this wall if I can, if I see any pieces that are actually like more out than others. This low wall, wherever it might be.
Oh, okay.
Where there's no flowers, specifically. If I can find a part where it's slightly extruded from the earth, with no flowers around it. Otherwise, I'll just walk this pillar.
Okay.
Try
So you're trying to
taking
examine the wall
markings.
around it, you said? Is there
Yeah.
any particular thing that you're looking for as you do this?
Runes, markings, pictographs, anything like that.
Okay. You can go ahead and make an investigation check to see what you see and what you can pick up.
I'm really good at those.
Oh, that's what it is. We're not hearing any music for some reason.
That's what the change was. Got really quiet. A whopping 3.
Ooh, big 3. You don't see any sign of it. The decay of the stone itself is pretty intense and pretty complete. If there were any runes carved in this, they've long been disguised by just the natural decay of the stone itself. At least in terms of the wall, and yeah.
Good. Then I'll go back. Oh, that will probably take my whole round. So yeah, I'll kind of just do that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean you're examining it pretty thoroughly, you know.
Yep.
So you're sort of beginning to make your rounds as some of your company begins to move out. So Kennit, you've approached with this bundle. Obviously the 2 guards are ready to attack, but are waiting for a sign to do so. Some aggression from you, a word from the wise one. The wise one seems to be, is looking, as his gaze is settled on you, and he watches for a moment. He makes a gesture. He points at you, he points to the gear, and he points back at himself. He nods then, as you do. Let's see here. He pounds the other one on the shoulder, and it gives a sort of bark, looks up at him, and then, the wise one sort of barks back, and it quickly looks back down. He reaches into his belt and throws a leather-wrapped bundle down at your feet. It's about this long. And then the wise one nods and gestures for you to give his equipment.
All right, I'll step up like I know what I'm doing and hand him back the swords and the leaves. Whatever else, That's all I had that we had gotten off the ivory statue and a ring. So there was an ivory statue, a ring. I'm going to give everything back.
Okay.
All of it.
As you hand it back to him, you hand it back to one of the bodyguards, takes it, and opens up the bundle, begins looking through it. They pick out a few things, and they drop them back down. The ring and the statue, suggesting that it's not theirs, or it wasn't theirs originally. Again, the wise one gestures to the bundle at your feet, and his eyes are definitely, his brows are beetled down. He's gazing intently at you, as if trying to figure something out.
All right, I'll pick up the package then and see what's inside.
Okay. As you open it, you, to your relief and puzzlement, find gleaming silver. You find 3 crossbow bolts of Alliance make. You find a gnarl, one of the shortened, the morphing weapons that can become a spear, sword, and many things in between, a pike and a dagger, shrunk down to its dagger form. And you also see the smooth white of one of the Magi's wands of fireballs. It is broken. It's been broken in half. And then, of course, they added the ring and the statue to that pile. He's looking at you with puzzlement. He looks over. Again, the wise man looks back over. The soldiers gathered. He looks off to the west. You hear one of the Lear soldiers sort of down the hill give a shout. Can't make out what it is. After a moment, the chieftain, or the wise one, responds, turns and shouts over his shoulder. He says one word. Gra! And oddly, the rest of the soldiers are silent when he says this word. He looks back to you, and he repeats the word, but he stabs a finger at you and he says the word Gra! but it's with a question. He watches you as if for a response.
All right. I want to say Gra back to him. Would that be a good idea? Does Gra mean peace or stop or something like that, do I think?
You can make an insight check and see. He's definitely asking you a question. Asking you if that's your name or if you have Gra or something.
All right, 15 on insight.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be good to say it in the same tone. Maybe answering as if in confirmation would make sense.
All right, I'll nod. I'll spread my arms out wide in like the universal gesture of peace. And then I'm going to turn my back and walk back toward the group.
Okay.
Trying to do like the trust thing, like I'm gonna show you my back, not in disrespect, but I trust you not to stab me, kind of a thing.
Right. Okay. Okay. After a moment, the two warriors sort of turn, looking at the wise one. The wise one nods, and they begin to move back down the hill. They don't go too far. You can hear them stop. Basically back down where they were. And you all are so ignoring initiative for a moment. How do you all respond to this as Kennit, Crenshaw, Hadrina, and Saida move back, perhaps, or you're discussing it, moving back to the pillar? Yeah,
I think that thing said something to you.
I didn't.
You think they can speak?
I know they could talk.
I don't know if that was a word or a growl or bark or something.
Sounded like a word. Gra. Maybe it means peace. I don't know. But we avoid this fight.
Well, at least they showed us some honor, if they even know what that is.
So, it seems that you've bought yourself some sort of respite. You get the sense that they're going to attack, as they have to. They're moved back down the hill. You sense that it's not going to be immediate. You get the feeling that you have time to prepare before they come. You probably have about a half hour. You assume that they're moving all around the hill. So maybe you might discuss what you're thinking about doing. Again, you have many options, as these things are certainly ranged around perhaps mostly the top map area, but they have scouts that are very stealthy and have likely scouted the hill already. You consider what your mission was, and based, there's different ways to interpret the mission parameters. You have not thoroughly you have not mastered this relic. You do not have full understanding of it, but by some interpretations, you have met the letter of your orders. You have this, certainly hostile company, but is giving you a bit of respite before they come and bring the fight to you, likely making their own preparations and discussing what they saw here. There's certainly puzzlement that you saw on the Wise One's features.
Does Crenshaw think they would attack him if they left?
Make an insight check. You can all make an insight check on that if you like, but yeah, Crenshaw, go ahead and make that insight check.
That was a 13. Ignore the advantage.
I see. All right, 13. It seems worth a chance. They did not shoot Kennit when he turned around and walked away.
Oh, nice.
27 insight on Kennit.
DL, you're thinking the same thing. It seems like a pretty good risk to take. Nothing's certain out here, but it seems like a pretty good risk to take as they didn't shoot you. It's hard to say more without really knowing their motivations, and it's really hard to do that without having observed them a bit more, interacted with them, outside of trying to slaughter them or not be slaughtered by them.
Well, we can't really leave people here. They'll get slaughtered. If we leave, they'll take purchase of the hill, and it'll be a hell of a time reclaiming it. It's a lot easier to fight from a defensible position, especially if we have some magical barrier to protect us.
Yes, but how many waves will they send? We've already fought 2 war parties. Who's to say they won't send 5 or 7? I don't think we hold this hill. I think we leave while we have the chance. This is a window of opportunity for us to take what knowledge we've gained and get it back to the crew.
Saida or Zim, did you figure anything out with this pillar thing?
What? Yeah, it does all sorts of things.
That
You know-
literally tells me nothing.
We healed some of you all, put up that dome. It can generate like a personal shield kind of a deal. I mean, we haven't summoned the Guardian. That might be fun. It
Do you think it
drains
could-
eventually and then restores slowly. I think it could do one of those things one more time today.
Saida, have any thoughts?
Use it up. Use up all the magic so they can't. Let's make ready to flee. Summon
I'm
the
not sure they
thunder.
can.
Get out
That
of
would
here.
be interesting as well. They know how it works.
Something.
Maybe that's why they were here.
Something tells me that they're here to protect it and just want us to leave.
I say we summon the Guardian and flee before it gets here.
Nah, that's a nice idea, says Thrumnir. Kennit showing a bit of humor. I like that.
Summon the Guardian and then leave before it gets here. Okay. I think we could do that.
Your hawk can tell us the result.
Indeed. All right, I'll attempt to summon this Guardian.
All right.
My hand on the pillar.
And I'll poke Crenshaw and say, hey, get everybody ready to move.
All right, everybody start forming up. We're going back the way we came. I want a double line going down the hill. Get it going.
The soldiers begin to organize themselves. Hadreen sort of echoes what you said. You know, just being that extra voice to cut through. Just to cut through. Get into people's heads. Get past their senses. They begin making their line. I'll pull them all down here. Okay, so as they begin to move out, the wounded commander next to the swooning magi.
Zem, for God's sakes, get those tireless down the hill. We need to bring them back.
They'd be good back guard or whatever you all call them. I'll throw a earth tremor into the pillar with to summon this Guardian. Thinking on summoning this.
All right. Go ahead once more and make that, religion, arcana, or nature check.
Come on, nature this time. On that one.
All right. Appearing just to the right of the pillar is what seems to be a large wooden humanoid structure. It's sort of hair, all green leaves as if from a tree. It looks like a living tree that's pulled itself out of the ground, It was then carved and shaped by many hands. The bark stripped down to the wood as if it was like sort of oiled or waxed with something to keep its color. It creaks, and the foliage above sort of shivers as it moves and turns. It looks down at Zim and takes a swipe at Zim. Is...
It's not friendly.
Does have a bit of reach. So give me just a moment. Hop in this. All right. It has connected to one hand. It has no hand. It has a wrist joint and then a large worked club. It's like sort of worked in 3 rings that are sort of separated in the middle as if like sort of segmented rings that are comprising the top end of this club. The other arm ends in a wicker shield. It seems to be woven of different woods, not the original wood. However, it raises the club once and smashes it down and then rakes it to the side, attempting to hit Zim twice.
Yeah.
Swiped at Zim for 27 to hit.
Yep, both will hit.
It connects with a 22. 22 damage on Zim, bludgeoning damage.
Okay. I'm barely up, but I'm up.
You all likely have ready reactions. You are trained soldiers. You wouldn't just be caught with your pants down. You can all make your reactions. Go ahead and just pop up in the initiative we have for the moment. And we'll just go down the order. So, Crenshaw, what is your reaction to this?
Seeing this thing swing at Zim, he's gonna tell everyone. He's gonna tell all the soldiers to fire at it. He's gonna say, "Fire at it! Give Zim some cover! Let him get out of there!"
All right. A storm of silver is unleashed from your soldiers. Several bolts sort of get stuck in the wooden shield, but you see several pelt like the shoulders and chest. And you're pretty proud of the soldiers. They're about within 8 inches of each other. They're grouping pretty good. The creature seems sort of irritated. It sort of sways back, tries to shake as if it's shaking something off. Zim, you were acting, so that you may not have a ready action. But we'll say you have a bonus action since you've been, so not a full action, but anything you might be able to do as a bonus action, which might not be very much. But
no bonus actions.
all right. Next in the order is Kennit. You're a bit back from it.
Am I still glowing?
Yes,
I
you
did
still have that.
I had
defensive
Sanctuary as well.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
because that was like the first thing I did to the
Fantastic.
pillar.
So
Was
it
get
has to
Sanctuary.
make another attack. In which case, all right. Okay. Checking on that save. Okay. Didn't make the attack. Unfortunately, then it swings at Saida. And we're going to go ahead and re-roll. Sad for me, because no crit, but
I thought I was good.
Sorry.
ooh, it's
Wow.
There you go.
all
So
right.
it took
So
a crit to a nat 1.
Double
Boy,
that
is
one.
So cruel.
all right. So I do have a fail chart for what happens on a critical miss. I'm going to consult that really quick. Anybody, if you all like, we make this player facing. You can somebody roll a d6 and somebody else roll another d6.
One.
We just need 2 d6s rolled entirely, so that's all right. I will take that. 2. Give me just a moment.
I just wanted to join in.
You want the mode, the median, or the average? Okay.
Someone put it in a spreadsheet.
It slams its club down. It misses it terribly. You hear it crack. You see a large crack go up the side of the club itself. It's still mostly intact, but it looks like it's probably going to be either harder to wield or not do as much damage. As it rakes it to the side, attempting to take Saida off her feet, Saida, you're able to step nimbly over it and take an attack of opportunity on the creature. It's a bit too
Oh,
sluggish.
heck yeah. Can I just use my scimitar?
Absolutely.
Also, I was wondering, is there time to do like my green flame blade
No,
cantrip?
that's a bonus action. I'm not sure you can do that as a reaction.
Okay, that's what I was curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was not up anymore since you had rested. 18 is going to miss. It barely sort of creaks and groans, then gets the angle of, at least the edge of that wicker shield in the way of your scimitar.
Okay, we're all just not really trying to hurt each other. I thought that these creatures summoned would only attack those who have blackened hearts, Zim.
I don't know what happened. Just said summon it, I summoned it.
You must have summoned it wrong.
How many ways do you know how to summon a large tree form that wasn't here before?
So Kennit, how do you respond as this thing materializes next to the pillar and begins slamming its club-like arm down towards Saida?
I don't know. I think, trying to role play Kennit, I don't know if because he's usually like not going to engage.
Yeah.
But I wonder if with this spell on, if he thinks he's like invulnerable, if he would think he could just like walk up to this creature now. I'm going to say he does. He
Okay.
thinks he's just bulletproof now and that nothing can hurt him, so he just like strides right up to the creature and tells it to stop. Tells it we're friends. Friend, gra.
Nice.
You hear
That's
a groaning
very
in
nice.
its joints as it turns to partially address you. It does not seem friendly. Okay, well, back to what everybody's here for. Back to what we're all here for.
Death by a large plant thing.
Rolling initiative.
Absolutely right. Rolling initiative. Go ahead and highlight your tokens. Roll that initiative as the large defender begins to raise its club once more.
Let's go. 2 nat 20 initiatives.
Oh, nice.
Sick.
My second one today.
Nice. See, rerolling initiative wasn't so bad this time. Well, Saida, sorry. That's 2
Don't mind,
better, right?
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, what was it, 2 last time?
Yeah, it's better.
It is better. It's 2 points better. It's double. Okay?
Exactly.
Nice. And it makes sense for our scout to be at the top of the order. Kennit, how do you proceed as you walk up to this wood road? It is, about 12 feet tall at least. I mean, that's at the shoulder. It still has its head and the crown of leaves. It's creakily turning towards you.
So I'm currently covered in a spell that they told me is going to protect me.
Okay.
So I got my swords out, and I'm just going to put the hunter's mark on him. That should be my last spell for the day. And I'll stab him with my short swords.
Nice. All right, let's see an attack.
All right, we're going to use the OneD&D rule. So I attack with a light weapon in my main hand. Okay. Doesn't have hunter's mark for me to. Okay, I got a 14 to hit.
14 is going to miss. Managed to get its shield up.
All right, I'm going to use my inspiration for the session and re-roll that.
All right, please do.
Better roll. All right, here we go. A 9. Fantastic. Even worse. All right. Then after attacking with a light hand weapon, I'll make an attack with my offhand weapon.
All right.
24 on that one.
24 is a hit.
All right, let's roll that up. 9 damage.
So what are you using in your offhand? Another short sword?
Another short sword.
All right.
Yep.
So that's 9. Okay, and that's with the mark. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't get my dexterity bonus to damage on the offhand, so
No.
not very impressive.
You know, a home rule that I like. I'm thinking about starting to use is similar to the sneak attack rule, where if you have an attack on an offhand and you miss with your main hand, you can still get a sneak attack with the offhand. If you don't hit it all with your main hand, you don't at all get that ability to score bonus. Then you hit with your offhand. It makes sense to me that you still get that ability to score bonus. So let's go ahead and calculate that now.
All right, if you want to.
I do.
I'm okay with just playing it as written if you want. Either way. So it would be an extra 3 in that case.
Perfect. All right. No, it just makes sense. You know, it makes sense to me.
Okay. I assume the sanctuary goes away?
I believe according to how it's written. Yes.
Yeah. So then I'm going to yell over at Zim. What? I thought you said this would protect me!
Hey, don't look at me. You said
And now I'm
summon the
stuck in
guardian, I summoned
hand-to-hand
it.
combat with a giant tree.
From your
I guess
shots.
it doesn't work if you stab the thing first. It's got to stab you, or think about stabbing you. I don't know. It looked like it wanted to hit me, and then it hit Saida, or tried to.
Well, I don't know, Magi. Maybe it's just protecting you. Maybe it thinks the rest of us are a threat.
Interesting concept.
Next in the order is Crenshaw.
I'll stand here and we can find out.
Crenshaw is going to make his way up through the soldiers, around the flowers, and he's going to say to Kennit, kind of as he approaches, he goes, Are we running or fighting? I guess we're fighting. And,
Stabby, stabby!
He's gonna take a swing with his longsword.
All right.
Crit.
Your blade comes up
Take it.
and down, cutting into the sort of thigh, just the same, right in the same notch that Kennit just laid his short sword into. But a slight bit to the side, so you cut a large wedge out of its thigh. The wood itself creaks and groans with the extra strain on that now weakened leg. 10, nice.
I shall take
It is still standing, however. Still moving, still turning toward Crenshaw. All right. Next.
Down, get control of this thing.
Sorry to interrupt.
Nope.
Checking real quick. How does our music sound? Can you all hear the music in Roll20? Players and viewers? If you can't hear it, let me know, and I'll fix it. No.
Sounds good to
Not
me.
hear it.
Oh.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, there it is.
There it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay,
I've
good.
never actually fought something to the tune of Cotton Eye Joe. This is crazy.
I can't, it's not playing it for me, so let me double check. And if this is ridiculous.
It did for a second, and then it went away.
I turned mine down. It was kind of stopping and starting for me, but y'all know my internet can act up.
Yeah. It should be. Yeah, should be some combat music playing right now. Well, Probot's not working this time, and all right. Well, we'll have that figured out next session. So, Zim, how do you proceed as some of your allies rush in to perhaps come to your aid?
All right. As they rush in, go ahead and anything I can use. All right, perfect. I'm going to disengage, moving back away from it a little bit to here. I'm gonna pick up a stone and cast Magic Stone on it.
Awesome.
And that is my turn.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, that looks like that's I guess I must have missed your action then, because that's a bonus action, right?
Disengaging.
Oh, you disengaged. Thank you.
That way I'm not smacked by it, or attempted to be.
Indeed, it does seem to have reach.
Or anybody else is smacked by it if it fails that check again. Yeah. So yeah, I'll pick up a few stones and just imbue them with magic, preparing to throw them.
So grab some loose stones off of that sort of large slab of paving stone underneath the pillar. What does it look like as you cast the spells? Any physical manifestation of it? Or is it just something only you can sense?
I'd say it's something only I can sense.
I
Just
like
kind
it.
of grab them and prepare.
Awesome. As the woodwode, the great guardian, continues to creak, turning towards you, it suddenly, from the waist up, it turns rather rapidly, sweeping its club out laterally across, right in the path of Kennit and Crenshaw. Slashes at Kennit for a 25, Crenshaw for a 14. I'm sorry, 23.
That hits.
Misses. 14 misses.
Crenshaw, or Kennit takes 14 points of damage as the club slams into your ribs. Five silver bolts slam into the woodwode, released from your company. Several of them sort of tearing bark off, slashing through the foliage at its head, leaves drifting down from it along with the rain. Three of them stick solid and pretty deep. Next in the order is Saida.
All right. Well, the first thing I'd like to do is light up that green flame blade. I imagine she just kind of takes her sword out, spins it around, then kind of thrusts it downward, almost like lighting a giant lighter, and it just catches on fire, green, traveling up from the bottom all the way up.
Yeah.
And like to move in closer. Am I able to move in without touching the flowers?
Be pretty close, but yeah, you're not going to be right in their space, so.
Okay,
Well,
I
no
imagine
enough
I'm just
now,
like
it's-
right up on the pillar. Is that too close?
No. You're basically, you're under its feet. You can't stop there. You can move in and attack right up underneath its feet, but you have to end in your own square. So
Okay.
just to the north. And as far as the flowers themselves, you all know enough at this point that, you can hold your breath, turn away from it. It's really if you pass through the squares with the flowers is where you're at risk. You'll have spent enough time around them, got a little bit used to their effects, but also gotten just used to the fact that this pollen is around and sort of how it works, how to not knock it free from the flowers and things like that. So just being in that square, you're currently safe. But if you move into the flowers, it'll definitely be triggered.
Okay.
Blade flaming.
Yeah, I'd like to strike it
All
with
right.
my green flame blade. So do I click that or my blade?
You can click your blade. There should be under attacks and spellcasting that there
make a
should be
weapon
green
attack
flame
with
blade. It should also be
Okay.
under your attacks and spellcasting. So you should just be able to click that. If not, it should be underneath that in your sort of alternate damage. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that one in my attacks and spellcasting.
With Green Flame Blade, you're going to make a weapon attack. If you hit with it, you can use the spell to do extra damage to another target, but there's no second target. So basically, it's just a weapon attack.
There's no advantage to having it like that right now?
In this situation, no.
Oh, that's weird. Well, I mean, it's just for show and it doesn't really hurt anything.
It's cool as hell.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. And, yeah.
An 18 is a hit. That is the creature's AC. It barely gets the shield up, almost gets the shield up as your blade sort of slashes right along the edge of it, cutting once more into that same leg as it is turning.
And then I have a bonus action that I would like to do.
Flame blade is it would be that bonus action, but if you're not using that, you can still use that bonus action. That's fine.
Oh. Okay, I see. Well, I mean, it's not worth using if it doesn't do anything. I got confused because it says one action.
Yeah, it's just that attack is part of the spell casting.
Right.
It's like the result of you casting the spell is you make an attack with the weapon that then has that fire on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Later on at higher levels, it does give bonus damage to the weapon attack.
Okay, that's good to know. That's probably what I remembered from reading it. Well, I guess as cool as it would be in my imagination, like this flame blade is glowing, but it doesn't do anything. I don't know. I didn't do it because that doesn't make any sense, really. Because I want to do this bonus action. I want to do Thunderous Smite.
That's fine. Yeah, your character knows the spells and abilities better than the player does. That's always true. Characters live in the world. So, yeah, you can definitely do a different bonus action. Oh, very nice. Awesome. And thunder booms out from the hilltop, rivaling the sounds of that crashing from the clouds. You hear a splintering sound beginning from the woodwode's thigh, where you all chopped into it several times. You see the Kennit, at the corner of your eye, you see that the Lear have crept back over the hill and are watching. You catch them just in time to see the wise one once more, sort of pushing the other one's bow down, not to fire at you. Both the warriors seem frustrated and tense, but the wise one continues to watch the development. Everyone make perception checks, just outside of your normal rounds and reactions, just to give me an idea of what you're taking in. I always like to use passive perception. Sometimes fun to cue you all to the fact that there's different things going on. Saida, as you slash your blade into it and thunder booms out, you notice something only because it changes its motion. You see a patch of darkness up in the sky, maybe 600-700 feet away. It changes its direction, where it's sort of moving along on your peripheral vision. It changes and begins arcing toward the hilltop. It's hard to make out what it is, but something is flying and it's coming toward the hilltop. Top of the order is Kennit.
The Thunderous Smite, he's got to do a DC 13 save. Did he do that already?
He did. He did not go prone.
Okay, all right. So is it possible for me to get advantage or like move around this guy a little bit so that Saida's like on the opposite side?
Yeah, if you get directly opposite her, you'll both get a +2 for flanking.
Okay, so I'll work my way around there and I'll make my 2 attacks again.
All right. It's a +2 to each one. Kennit moves in, left and right blade flashing in the high
All
storm.
right.
24
That's
is
a
a
26 on the first one.
26 is a hit. Absolutely.
Ten damage, and the same with the offhand for another 12.
Well, let's wait on that second attack. And you can feel free to describe your actions as you dispatch the Guardian.
I'm still upset. I'm still yelling at Zim. I'm like, what a stupid spell. This thing didn't help me at all. I'm like poking at this wood woad, being all mad about it. And I like see that Saida does some cool magic again. Don't want to be outdone. So I slide around to the side, just kind of casually stab my short sword into it. Not thinking it's going to finish it off, but then trying to do one of those quick, So Kennit finishes it off, and then he's still swinging with his other sword, and then he tries to look real cool about it, like he meant to do it.
Nice. It gives a creaking groan as you stab into it. It seems attempting to turn, still turn to slash at you again, but as you stab into it, it sort of lurches off balance. That leg finally snaps. It crashes down into the pillar and falls across the stones. The pillar doesn't even budge. Now, Crenshaw. The thing falls. How do you proceed? You see that the Lear have moved over the hill, but they're still watching. You see one of the warriors gesture down the hill as if to the rest of the warband.
Okay.
So you don't know what the gesture means.
Crenshaw wants to try and figure out if he can tell, like, if and how surrounded they are by Lear at this point. I don't know how many he can see.
Okay.
Are they at the edge of the wood, or are they down the hill?
Down the hill. Let me see if I can...
Just up in the northern region, just past where the rock is.
essentially, yeah, just over that cliff.
Okay.
You're certain that there's some hiding in the low trees and undergrowth. So those you're certain about. You could move around the area and make an investigation check, or you could stand where you are and listen and look and make a perception check.
Crenshaw's going to ask, all right, well, now we're here. Do we continue to our retreat, or do we make a stand?
Let's go.
Look at Kennit.
I point at the giant flying thing winging its way toward us.
Crenshaw didn't notice that before, so he's just like, what the hell? What is that thing? And he's going to be like, all right, start the march down the hill. And he's going to tell the troops to start marching it down the hill. Double time.
Fantastic. As the troops do exactly that, they begin moving in decent formation from near, moving perhaps off ahead. The soldiers and the dead begin moving down the hill.
Zim, if you're going to take any samples from this thing, make it fast. We got to get out of here.
All right, I'll pull out my carpenter's tools. And
Yay, carpenter tools.
You hear a cheer from Ares and Bost as you pull out the carpenter's tools.
my small micro hatchet and whatever else I have. And I'll
Saws,
attempt to
chisels?
get yeah, saws, chisels.
Tiny
Those are
ones.
more wood carver's tools, perhaps. Probably like a mallet and a large block chisel. Take a sample of this, and then I'm gonna book it back down with the crew.
Okay. Lear Wise One is fixedly watching you as you take samples of the bark, a bit of the heartwood, perhaps the fingers, the piece of its weapon. It watches you unblinking. The Lear currently still making no move towards you. Although you can now see that the two bodyguards with the Wise One are looking off to the north into the sky and are speaking excitedly to each other as you begin to pull off pieces. Other than wood, you do find in its carven face, the face looks dwarven almost. It looks somewhat like a stylized, dwarven face, smiling even. The only thing aside from wood that you find are two smooth cabochons of amber, which is incredibly rare on the sea. It's probably the rarest, it's rarer than like diamonds and most precious metals on at least on the sea in this world. It's easily a king's ransom or more. So you managed to pull those out with that 17 roll and get all the different samples you need.
Excellent.
The odd thing about it is the wood seems fresh, as if it's just been hewed down and cut, but it wants to dry very, very quickly. Putting it in a stoppered vial that's like a wax-sealed vial helps a little bit, but you, based on how quickly it was drying up, you think it's still going to continue. You figure you have maybe 5 or 6 hours to get it back to the laboratories and the halls of silence for it to be studied before it's going to lose some of the information that you're looking for. But you finish up and are able to scoot ahead and move across the broken stone, step over the low wall, duck carefully in between the flowers, and begin to move south. Let's see, checking a couple things. All right, so.
I also have my hawk circling, looking for any trouble.
All right, let me go ahead and just reveal a little bit more of the area. You'll have spent some time up here. You've gotten a view around. I'm just going to reveal the layout. This doesn't tell you everything that's in the area, the different types of plants and everything, but just to get an idea of what the hilltop looks like. You all would have a better idea of that, so there's that. You all begin making your way down the hill in pretty good order. We're going to just continue using this initiative, taking the wood out of it, of course. The Soren more don't need to be there. As the company begins marching down the hill, again, make a pretty quick pace. Again, it strikes you how smooth and even this part of the jungle hilltop is. How low, there's not really any large plants. It's almost like a perfect path. Just didn't grow, Things just didn't grow here, and it's easy to just march right up. Obviously, it's a hard slope, and some of that is broken, like where you fought the roper, that sort of cleft. But yeah, just very, very odd. You all can make, let's see here, make nature or survival checks as you're moving down the hill, just in observing the hill itself.
23 for Kennit.
Fantastic.
Womp womp. 4 for Saida.
11 for Zim.
Hey, she's no druid, so it's okay. It tracks.
If you can't use a green flame blade on it, she might not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Kennit, you make an observation as you're moving down the hill. You're looking at, there's clusters of broken rock tumbling down the hill, but you don't see a lot of places you'll see large stones, pretty regular shape. You look at the cliffs nearby, and you don't see anything that shaped like it tumbled out of natural rock. As you manage to get closer to a few of these stones, you find that one or two has an edge, two angles coming together. It's worn, but you can tell this was once a carved block of stone. You find 3 or 4 of those. You find another that has the edge of some. You imagine it's a bit of knotwork. Like, have you ever seen like sort of Celtic, maybe your Indian knotwork designs? It looks something like, maybe a disc, and you're seeing the edge of it. You can just see a couple of lines woven out, and your brain kind of just wants to fill in the gap. And you're like, okay, that's a circular design of some sort. Probably the lines weave in and out of each other. But you're seeing signs of some form of civilization a long time ago. You also notice, you and Crenshaw both, that there's a certain tang in the air, where most of the air around here is sort of, it's the loam of the earth, wet soil, the musk of different beasts, but you're getting the tang of salt on the breeze constantly. But as you move down the hillside, you all pick up, the 2 of you, Kennit and Crenshaw, pick up the scent of sulfur in the air. And the air seems a bit hotter, and if possible, a bit more humid on the southern end of the hill. Something you didn't notice when you were making your way up.
Smells like eggs. What is that?
Let's see here.
You sure that's not just you?
I haven't had eggs for days.
So for that, you could all, the 2 of you could make a perception check, or a nature check to see if you pick up any more information, or if you anything else comes to mind in terms of your training.
Or an insight check to see if Crenshaw actually hasn't had eggs for days.
He may be lying. And Ross said, he's lying. He had him before we left the nest. But the scent of eggs, something comes to mind in one of your briefings, and something you heard from sailors too, specifically from the Zillim, from gnomish fleets, as they tend to go toward the seafloor more often than others. They're the main species that's able to mine the seafloor. So they've, something comes to mind where you were working. Everyone had to work before you worked, helped build the city, helped create weapons, whatever you were good at, and you were training and drilling and taking classes. It was a full 6 months of this sort of stuff. And one of the work you did was dealing with some of the miners, going down into the mining bells, mostly just to run the crews and make sure that people had their oxygen and things like that. But what you remember is some of the divers coming back smelling like eggs, saying that they found a hot vent, or a hot spring of water. It smells just like that. It's not quite like eggs, more like rotten eggs and some other mineral you can't name. But you're smelling that same smell, suggesting there's some sort of hot water vent or hot spring on this area of the hill. Perhaps Crenshaw files that away, or...
Yeah, he's going to tell Zim to make a note of that. Hey, there might be some hot springs or something around these hills.
Not sure that's just really time for vacation spots, but all right.
I mean, I know those gnomes are crafty. I think they could use it for something else. But I wouldn't mind a hot bath. But yeah, you're right. Probably not the time to be thinking about that.
Oh, we're coming back, right? Says Ores.
Oh, you can bet your life on it, soldier. And I'm bringing you with me, too.
As if you had a choice. Balmy days like this, fresh air, all this relaxation. I'm so relaxed I can hardly stand myself. I know I can't stand you, says Bost. Just like you because your mom's sweet on me. She's sweet on everyone. They both kind of laugh a little bit. You can tell they're tense because they try not to laugh at each other's jokes. So sort of a tell for them when they actually start laughing at each other's jokes. That's when they're venting out some of their tension. Because as you're coming down the hill, a few of you are still spotting this inky blot on the horizon, moving closer. All of you can make perception checks to see how well you can see this. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and really quickly. I'm going to switch our stream scene to. Hopefully this will just be.
Well, who are those beautiful people?
What? 13 for Zim.
Or I think we should really book it here. I don't think we want to be facing that thing.
Let's go.
For running, and as I run, I'll turn into a giant lizard and get that 40 feet of movement versus this 25 tiny-legged feet of movement.
Is the giant lizard large enough for Saida to ride on?
I don't think it's a riding-sized giant lizard, but let me check. There is a riding lizard as well, which I think is a size bigger. I'm a large beast. So a horse is a medium creature, which never made sense to me. So.
I would like to do exactly as I described, without hesitation, as soon as it happens.
I'm just like, I don't know. Probably should have put the dwarf on here, I say in my head, as I, in lizard speak. The littlest legged other ones.
Crenshaw just raises an eyebrow and internally thinks, Who are we out here with? Who are these people?
I mean, I could have become a giant snail, but that didn't. Yeah. 10 feet of movement is not great.
We can't hear the DM in the stream, it seems. Not
15
sure, but
minutes?
I'm just now seeing.
Actually, no. No, not that long. Oh, switch scenes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Sweet scene switches. When it began.
Okay, now I should be there, and everyone should be able to hear me. I'm getting a signal on my end. Apologies, y'all. I just did not catch that. How about now, Micro? Small wonder. Wow, our beautiful 12 viewers, friends, and all. Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you, Deviant. Much appreciated. Awesome. Alright, let me get back to my camera. Everything's alright. Navigate back over to the map. Oh, actually, we don't need the map because we are Theater of the Mind. So, as you move down the hill, your scouts, Kennit and Thrumnir, directing you sort of back off to your left, your weaving path back toward the strand. You know it's too early. They won't raise a bridge for you, but the bulwark camp on the strand is well protected. You should be able to rest there until nightfall. But you just have to get there. You can see here and there through breaks in the trees as you all are moving along. This Manai moving unerringly toward you. Doesn't seem to be hurrying. Is moving about you all's pace. Occasionally you see it take on a burst of speed as if to get ahead of you. As the foliage sort of whips and slaps up against your armor. The rain pounding on you over your heads, and thunder and lightning blasting around the the hilltop like a crown of storms. I think this is a good place to pause for the session. We'll pick up next session with a bit of a chase. You will have the chance to evade this Manai using, well, your skills, your talents, your grand ideas, and your constitution saving throws to make it back to the strand and some defenses before you are in range of this Manai's tender mercies, which is to say they have neither tenderness nor mercy. All right, so that was really fun, you all. Technical difficulties and all, I had a fantastic time. But let's check in. Let's do our little wrap up and everything. See how everybody's doing. Saida, how was your session? How you feeling?
I took 2.5 pages worth of notes. I thought this was really dynamic and fun. I'm surprised the wood immediately attacked us, and I'm starting to wonder who's the one who has a filthy heart.
I mean, clearly it attacked Kennit. So
Awesome. How about you, Brian? How was your session? Pros, cons?
It was good. So no, I really enjoyed it. It's nice to be the one rolling crits for once. I think Crenshaw is my good luck character for now. So
Nice.
We'll see how well that sticks around. I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that we got to avoid a battle with the Lear so far and took down a wood. And now we're headed back home, so just gotta escape this Manai. But good session.
Nearly mission accomplished. Awesome, dude. Thanks for that feedback. How about you, DL? How was your session? Any thoughts, notes? Pros, cons?
Yeah, no, it was, as the others said, it was an excellent session. A lot of fun. Because I'm not playing in the campaign, everything here is a mystery to me, so I have like no pre-knowledge of how any of this stuff works, so I get to, let's say, discover it for the first time. So bad call on the defender, but I thought that was the last thing we needed to understand the tower, so it seemed to make sense, but, maybe not.
Yeah, all in all, High Command is going to think it was a successful mission, so... Fantastic, great feedback. How about you, Joe? How are your thoughts on the session?
I enjoyed it a lot. Having played this once prior at the beginning of our campaign, it's always a lot of fun to see just how different people handle this, and it's been very interesting. As everyone said, very dynamic. And yeah, I don't know. The dice tell the story, and I just roll them and hope things happen. I'm glad my carpenter's tools got another use. Hopefully, they'll see more uses in time.
I have a feeling they're going to follow us through many campaigns at this point.
I'll always have a different tool to use. It'll just be as strangely used as carpenter's tools.
That is my hope.
Next character will have a barber's kit, and we'll figure out where to go from there. I don't know.
When you look up the history of the term barber, and you realize they actually also handled tooth extractions, and
Surgeons,
amputations,
teeth
exactly.
work.
Then it gets really interesting, the kind of tools you might have in that kit. I can do your hair, or I can take off that gangrenous leg for you. What's it going to be?
I'm your hair care dentist doctor today. Yeah, that's a character concept right there.
I'd like to see what the bauble spring on top of your wagon that you rode around the city would look like.
I have an uncle in rural Mississippi who does all three of those jobs. So I'm just kidding. He works at the airport hair care tire center.
Yeah.
You get your hair did while you wait for your plane. It's nice.
That's right.
Your tires
It's real
changed.
nice.
Yeah, he's nice. They got
Real
good music in there,
nice.
too. They got the oldies. Yeah. Well, I thought this was a fun session. Like, I definitely like. I just seen you all tinker around with these things and play with them and looking at your decisions and of course it's definitely interesting seeing the different ways it plays out as different sort of parties and class compositions and stuff. Yeah, I think this is a great session. I'm always excited about next session, and I'm excited to see if you all can escape this Manai, and if not, if you can survive him. So yeah, that's next time on LandFall. Will they escape? Will they survive? Or will all the knowledge they gained be lost to time? We'll find out next time. Thanks for joining us, everybody. See y'all next week. You all can find me. I'm DM Feanor. You can see it the bottom over here, on the bottom of the screen. That's me, DM Feanor. You can find me on all the social medias. If you're looking to join a game, that's Start Playing Games. You can find me there. I've got some YouTubes and some other things going on. And yeah, before we hop off, is anybody, we all have projects, plugs. Joe, do you have anything that you wanted to plug? Any Kickstarters that you're following? Any projects that you're working on? You definitely have that server that you're running.
Oh yeah, so I help admin a server that follows the Realmsmith tabletop RPG stream over there for those guys. I help admin that. They do a full-on. We've built a full play-by-post RP setting. So if you're interested in that, go look over there. Side other things. I'm working on a Dragonlance campaign, building most of it out. Almost full homebrew, taking concepts from 3.5, OneD&D, Pathfinder, and other things into a micmash and just bundling it all together and trying to build something out of it. So I have no idea when that's going to hit, but I'm going to hopefully look at streaming that. I'm going to say later this year. I'm going to put some goals in and try to get there.
I want to help. I want to help somehow. Dragonlance was my first love. It's what got me doing this. So whatever kind of help you need for me, hit me up.
I need all the help. My brain was being pulled too many directions this past month.
Totally. I can do some of the help. I can't promise all of it, but I definitely would love to be involved on some level. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm building that in World Anvil at this time. I'm just trying to get all my initial plot and concepts laid out in my brain on a fine track that isn't only understandable by Joe.
Gotcha. Heck yeah. Well, Joe, if you have any links that you want to throw in our Twitch chat, please do so. How about you, DL? Did you have anything that you wanted to share? Any projects, things that you're backing? You definitely have your channel and stuff like that. So, anything to share?
Yeah, so Darth Loquater on YouTube. I cover a Star Wars mobile game. If anybody's into mobile games and wants to start that game, I've got a channel over there. I got a Discord. Some fun stuff always happening over there. Put out my new player guides for 2023, so I'm trying to help people get a good start to the game. It's a super long-term game. It's like the kind of game you play for years. If you just get in there for a few weeks, you're not going to get anything done. So
Yeah.
it's quite a commitment, and people want to know that they're spending their resources in the right way from the start. So that's kind of what I contribute to the community. So
Heck yeah.
it's pretty cool. We get a lot of resources for newer players, and that's just Darth Local on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and look up my name over there, you'll see it.
And
So
the name
I've
of the game that it's for again, the Star Wars game it's for?
It's for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes,
Okay, awesome.
or SWGOH, Swigo. Yeah.
Nice. Heck yeah.
So I've got that and this, and I've got a real job and a family, so it's enough.
Yeah, definitely. Heck yeah. How about you, Evelyn? Anything that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm Foxy Pon on Twitch, and most of my platforms, but I'm primarily focusing on Twitch right now. Everything else is sort of just an extension of that. There's YouTube, of course. I do a lot of art making, occasionally map making for D&D, and I stream some games and interview some people and have deep talks. It's a little bit of a variety show. But yeah, this is actually part of it. I'm streaming this right now too. So I would love if everyone came over and showed some love if you got the time or a moment to do so.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically what I'm up to. But I'm open for costume and painting or drawing commissions of a wide variety of machinations. There we go.
Indeed. Awesome. Heck yeah. Maybe in the future, if you have some pictures, you can flash them up on the screen for us at our plug session next time. But heck yeah. There was something I was going to ask. On that, I don't know what your plans are after this, but do you want me to raid out to you at the end of our session? Evelyn? Yeah.
I looked at the chat for a second.
No, that's
I thought
fine.
you're asking somebody else. Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? And then maybe I can make some art or play a game or something. That'd be fun for a minute.
Okay, that sounds great. So yeah, at the end of this, we're going to raid out to Foxy Ponpon's channel, and she will take you into her marvelous world of creativity and imagination. All right, Brian, how about you? Is there anything that you wanted to share? Any projects or Kickstarters you're interested in? Even if it's a cool YouTube channel that you picked up. Any small projects that you want to plug?
No, not right now. Not at this current time.
Cool. Yeah,
Just
yours,
happy
anybody
to be
else,
here.
it doesn't matter. Cool. Well, that's fantastic. No worries. Just the opportunity, Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to my marvelous players for making this possible. Because the GM's nothing without some awesome players. Tune in next week for session 7? Session 7 of LandFall. Fantastic. Good night, everyone, and thanks again.
Night.
Good night. Bye.